he doesn't even like throw out there, I didn't break this law. Like that's not even one of the defenses.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Next Level. I'm JVL here with my best bud, Tim Miller, and my very good friend, Sonny Bunch, sitting in for Sarah Longwell. Guys, we've got another arrest, I guess, arrest 2, although it's not really an arrest, because if you get to surrender to the authorities and then not get mugshotted or fingerprinted, I mean, I have heard many people complaining about the 2-tier system of justice and how, we have a 2-tier system. I'm thinking to myself, yes, that's right. The rich guy gets to turn himself in and doesn't even have to get mugshotted or handcuffed or any of those things. We do, in fact, have a 2-tier system of justice. But I don't know, Tim, you are chomping at the bit. Get out of the gate there, big guy. Go.
I've been arrested. Mom, please fast forward this a few, just do a couple, click on that forward 30-second thing if you're listening, Mom. But, I was a young man and I was drinking alcohol before it was allowed, before I was of age, before I was 21. And yeah, I know. And so I was given a ticket for that, and I was assigned some community service, some classes, and I did like 90% of it. I'm just a privileged white kid that I was like, yeah, I paid the fine. I did some of the community service. I went to one class, I didn't like it. I didn't go to the other class. No big deal. I kind of figured. Wrong. I ran through a stop sign. I don't know. It's kind of a BS pull. It was a witch hunt, maybe. It was a rolling stop sign.
Stop sign hoax.
Yeah,
right.
Stop sign hoax, exactly. And get pulled over. The cop comes to just give me a ticket, and then he runs my numbers, and he comes back up, and he's like, "Will you get out of the car?" And I was like, "What?" And apparently, I had a warrant out for my arrest from not finishing the minor in possession class, and so I got taken down to the Boulder Clink. And I got to tell you, I got the mugshot, I got fingerprinted, I got put into a cell for like an hour. It wasn't that big of a deal, my rights weren't infringed upon, but it was only a single count of what I don't believe was a misdemeanor, minor in possession of alcohol. And I was, in a holding cell for a while. Donald Trump was actively hiding war plan nuclear secrets from the government and was plotting to get rid of them. And he didn't have to do any of that. So whatever, okay, like that. But it's one of those things. Former presidents, I guess, get a little bit of different treatment than the average Tim when it comes to these sorts of things. But it is rather galling to have to listen to just widespread whining and rending of garments about the unfair treatment that he's received. I mean, nobody's ever been treated better than this guy in history. In the way that
he get to be tried by the judge he appointed.
Yes.
The special counsel is a guy who he named as an acting U.S. attorney in his Justice Department. Right? I mean, this is
he had a mob of people outside cheering. He was able to have a little rally afterwards. It doesn't. Sonny, I don't know. I mean,
Sonny might have come in with his defend Chris Licht take here.
Sonny is a law and order man. Shouldn't Donald Trump have been at least handcuffed?
My main takeaway from this is that there's a mugshot of Tim Miller floating around somewhere in the Colorado Justice database. Can we find that and make that your headshot?
Maybe. I bet I looked cool.
Did you smile?
What did
you do?
It was 1999. I have no idea. Whether I've never seen it. It's never shown up in anything. I got it expunged. Again, 2-tier system of justice. I was handled fine, but even me, who got the privileged treatment by the Boulder PD, expunged record, all that, was treated less kindly than the former president on far less serious,
Yeah, I mean,
breaking
the difference
of our norms and rules.
The difference between you and Donald Trump is that Donald Trump turns this into a Tom DeLay style photo op, and he's giving the thumbs up while he's holding his little name card, and he's like, I'm being oppressed by the man.
You're thinking about the good part though, but as somebody who's been inside the clink for a whole hour, let me tell you, there is a bad part. You got to sit there in the cell. There are the other guys, the drunk guys are in there with you. The people that look a little scary.
Glad-handing.
The handcuffs. The handcuffs?
Donald Trump
he
is
would
going
like to be handcuffed?
He's going to be in there glad handing, oh, we're going to get you out of here. I've freed many people from prison. I'm going to get you out of here, Joe Bob. You're unjustly in prison just like me.
No.
He'll turn it into a little, obviously
He's been very
it would
upset.
be very cathartic to see Donald Trump do a perp walk. And,
Yes.
we don't want to confuse our own catharsis for what would actually be helpful to the case. And I don't
really care if it's helpful, and I don't really care if it's politically helpful. What I'm saying is we're just speaking about the question of, is he being treated unequally or not? And the answer is no. I mean, yes, he's being treated very unequally in his favor.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard to imagine anybody else having this airtight a case against him and still getting the kids' glove treatments from Fox. I will agree with that.
I have to say, I'm glad he's getting the kid gloves treatment. I think I'm glad that the judge is somebody who's already been pre-established as kind of a MAGA lightweight. I'm glad that the special counsel Jack Smith chose to do this in Florida, which is a venue because what you don't want is you don't want to go through all of this and then leave the Trump apologists with obvious ways to say that they've been done dirty, right? You want to they're going to say they're done dirty no matter what. And so you want them to be reaching as far as possible for that, I think.
I guess, but this isn't being done dirty. This is being done normal. Okay. I mean, if what came out of the other side of this was MAGA people, having a changed view of the criminal justice system and feeling like maybe we should, have a little bit more leniency towards people. I know that this is now really triggering Sonny, towards folks who run afoul of the law. I mean, I wrote the Jordan Hamlet piece that people can go back and read. This guy had his door kicked down by the feds for just, putting Donald Trump's social security number into a database. Like, that's literally all he did. Reality winner. Okay, again, broke the law, but gave faxed a single document to a journalist, jailed. Like she did not have a private plane that could take her in and out of, out of her arraignment. Right, she was not able to surrender on her own terms. There are plenty of examples of people who have very similar accusations against them to what the former president does. At very airtight accusations, who have been treated horrifically by the federal government and by our justice system. And maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong. We could have a debate over how we should be treating people who misuse classified documents, and maybe we've been too harsh on people, and everyone should get the Donald Trump treatment. I'm fine with that, but to have to listen to these fuckers talk about how woe is Donald Trump and he's being targeted, like it's insane.
Timothy, I am sorry. If you are hoping that this sparks a moment of introspection on the question of law and order among certain conservatives and liberals, certain conservatives and Republicans, that ship has sailed. I mean, we live in a world where they want to defund the FBI for raiding Mar-a-Lago to take back classified documents that the DOJ and the National Archives have been asking for months and months and months. And that they want to defund the FBI, but they will defend to the death any cop who chokes out a black guy selling Lucy cigarettes. I mean, this is their view of law and order and supporting of law enforcement has been irrational from the start.
This is why you just have to rationally be in favor of the police doing this to everyone. If they want to kick in Mar-a-Lago, that's fine with me. I would be totally fine with that.
Yeah,
you don't have to convince me.
Yeah, right. And that happened, and then we have to hear about how it's unfair. And Ben Shapiro, who is like supposedly, on the upper echelon of the more serious, members of the commentariat, who's not fully MAGA, he was out there on his podcast earlier this week saying that this just shows that the politicization of the FBI and the DOJ is such that now we might need to move to a system where only Republicans can prosecute Republicans and only Democrats can prosecute Democrats. Like, that is a fucking insane take. Where was he during the civil rights era? I mean, like, there never traditionally Democrats have kind of appointed Republicans to the FBI. In like McKay, if you go back to the Obama era, the Clinton era, law enforcement agencies it was often either independents or Republicans, Comey famously, who were appointed to those positions. And this current Democratic administration, there's an open investigation into Hunter. They went after Henry Cuellar in Texas. There's the guy in New Jersey, the TJ Cox. They went after Andrew Gillum. They went after, and like this stuff, even on the intellectual podcast, like isn't even brought up, right? That isn't even mentioned. All in defense of Donald Trump, who doesn't even offer a substantive defense of what he did. He still hasn't even put forth any, he doesn't even like throw out there, I didn't break this law. Like that's not even one of the defenses. And they're mad that it's unfair that he's being charged.
Well, but here's the dance. They are saying that they're mad, but they desperately want him to be convicted because they want him to go away. But they feel the need to performatively make it look like they absolutely don't want him to be convicted. Right? And in a weird way, I think there's a very correlative relationship here between the amount that a Republican figure wants Donald Trump to be convicted so that he will then lose possibly the nomination and go away, and the amount of protestation they then feel like they have to do so that nobody can suss out what they're actually thinking. I don't know. I mean, I saw, I guess this, let's just, cut to the chase. Is this going to help him too, the way the Alvin Bragg indictment did? Because I saw a tweet from a fourth-tier conservative person today saying something like, I have never really liked Donald Trump. I thought he was a good president, and I agreed with all of his policies. And I was not going to support him in 2024. But now looking at this, I don't know that I cannot support him because of the forces arrayed against him.
Is this our friend Smokey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think so. This two parts to this. One, I do think that this indictment, which is very strong, and like the document that the government has put together with Donald Trump's own words saying essentially, yeah, I broke the law. I did it. I did it. And, I kept these documents and here they are. And, I shouldn't have done this. I could have marked them as not secret, but I didn't.
And now I can't.
And now I've got them and now I can't, but I still got them. It is so mind blowing to read the thing. And this does actually demonstrate some of the weaknesses of the Bragg case. And you could make an argument. You could go back to Schumer killing the filibuster for Supreme Court nominees and say, like, they made a mistake by filibustering the Supreme Court nominee. The first one, they should have done it with whatever. You could make that argument with these indictments. But I do not think that this indictment helps Donald Trump because it is so like obviously damning. It doesn't help him with the general. Let me rephrase. It doesn't help him with the general pop. It might help him marginally with the primary voters. At the very least, it doesn't hurt him with the primary voters. Because we're going to talk about this in a minute. But I don't think there's anything Donald Trump could do that would hurt him with, I don't know, the 40% base that he has. I don't think there's a single thing he could do. Literally, again, shoot somebody
his base is
in the middle of
40%. He's polling at like 56. Right.
Yeah, but I think
there's like a 40% floor.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I think there's a 40% floor.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's probably even a little lower than that. I think it's probably in the 30s. His core.
35 to 40%.
Yeah.
Again, I would just note that every other single Republican running would murder somebody if they could get to 35% in the polls.
Sure.
So what you're talking about when you say his absolute floor is a ceiling for basically everybody else who's running so far in the race,
which is concerning in a competition. So this goes to there was a hilarious Rick Santorum quote this week. You keep tabs on old Rick, who said that he thinks that the Democrats are doing this intentionally to help Trump.
The Democrats.
Because this targeting of him actually boosts him, and this is a plot by the deep state. It's just like, brief aside, and then I'll answer your question. Like the deliberate, pretend idiocy of all of these like senators, like people who actually understand how indictments work, how grand juries work, like performatively pretending as if they don't, as if it was just like Joe Biden waved his magic wand and was like, arrest this man. It's like, trust me, if Joe Biden had that wand, we'd already have a few more other people arrested, in addition to the former president. But the like that is there. So that speaks to the fact that people within the Republican Party who understand the Republican base, who don't want Donald Trump to win, think this helps him. Okay, so I think that's an important data point.
Well, and this is what Sarah has found in her focus groups, right?
Yeah.
The focus groups since the indictment have come down. She's done focus groups with with Trump supporters, who 0 of them are less likely to support him now. Several of them were much more likely to support him now. So I mean, I think that objectively speaking, this is probably true, that it probably helps him in the primary, which is not great, because if he wins the primary, he then has a 1 in 3 chance of winning the presidency, right? Or 2 in 5.
Yeah,
2 and 5.
2 and 5.
1 and 2.
And this is why, well, again, we're going to get to this, why some of the advertisements that are being run against him about his unelectability are insane.
Yeah, that's a good teaser, though.
Sorry.
I want to offer, and I mentioned this briefly on Charlie's podcast on Friday. I don't know if I really believe this, but I'm open to I don't think that we should close out the possibility that the preponderance of these things over time eventually weigh him down. And I think that there are kind of two ways to look at this, right? I think obviously in the short term this helps him, and so you should probably just assume that in the long term it helps him. And I think that case is pretty easy to make. I think that the main point of that is that it makes him the central character of the campaign. And if no one's going to challenge the central character of the campaign, there's this fight between good and evil. And, Donald Trump is good in the case of the primary viewers' vantage point, then why would they go somebody else? Okay. Now, the question is, if we're getting close to the primaries and the caucuses, and I think we all agree that DeSantis or someone will have an advantage over him in Iowa just because of the nature of the makeup of the Iowa caucuses. And you have arraignments happening, and he has court dates coming, and his numbers are going down even more with the general pop, as Sonny started his answer, right? Which is like, this is hurting him even more with the, kind of iffy, wishy-washy general pop type, no labelsy voters, right? And so his numbers are going down in those polls. He loses Iowa. He's getting arraigned again. There's a third indictment. There's a fourth, maybe. Could the weight of all of that cumulatively, could the dam break? And I'm not sitting here predicting that, but I don't think that we should be totally certain that could not happen. And feel mixed feelings about these sorts of indictments, because we know that it only certainly will help him, because it doesn't certainly help him.
So, sure, possible. Anything is possible. On
Don't
the other
give me
hand,
anything is possible.
He did attempt a coup, and
That's
that
true.
didn't cause the dam to break.
It's a fair
Right?
point.
I mean, he told several thousand
kind of
people
a
carrying
silly
weapons
coup.
that they should run up to the Capitol and hang Mike Pence, and they did
Yeah.
it. And the entire country watched it happen, and then the dam didn't break. So I have
Fair.
it could happen, right? I mean, look, that's the thing about tipping points, right? You don't know that you're going to hit them until you do. But my thesis on Trump is actually, it has been for a long time, that the tipping point came early and it went in the other direction.
Yeah.
And the tipping point actually came in the 2018 midterms, when Republicans got hurt real bad and they could have started walking away from him, and they decided to double down. I think that's where what we got instead was into sunk cost. And so I think of Trump more as sunk cost fallacy than tipping point stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
It does. Just one sentence before, and I'd like to hear Sonny's take on this. My one sentence reply to that is, I agree with that among elites, but like voters, do voters think about this like that sunk cost, right? Like voters there might be a less rational.
No, I think
rationale for the type of voters that we're talking about, the one, not the 35% base, but that next group that he's going to need to get him over the.
I don't know. I feel like these people have like lost friends over Trump, and they've sucked it up into voting for Trump, and to have gone all that way and then abandon him now is the equivalent of saying I was wrong. People don't do that very often.
I think the more likely response is the tweet that JVL had mentioned before, which is like, I've always been kind of iffy on Trump, but now I have to support him because spite. The spite vote should not be underappreciated. Spite
Don't
voting
sleep
is
on
real.
spite.
Spite is as powerful a motivation as exists in our current moment, and the spite vote is real.
That resonates.
Whether or not that's good or bad for the country, I leave the people to decide. But spite is a very real thing. I think the only way we hit the tipping point
myself, by the way. I'm not above a spite vote. Yeah.
The only way we hit that tipping point that Tim suggests is possible, and I think it is. I mean, look, it is possible. If he is hit with a series of indictments, if he can't go to rallies, right? If he can't do TV, if he can't do general campaigning stuff because he's so busy dealing with his various legal problems, I think that we might hit that tipping point if the other GOP candidates actually start attacking him on this. And that's the thing. They cannot sit back and just be like, we obviously support Donald Trump in this trying time of his, his oppression and they are being so mean to him. And we obviously, I pledge to, what was that dumb Vivek letter he was passing around?
Pledges to pardon him or something.
Yeah, pledge. The rest of the GOP candidates.
He's going to sue the Biden administration to get information on whether Joe Biden directed this. That's what he's sure.
Let me ask you a question, Sonny. So this is of a piece with the Rich Lowry. When the time is right, then it's this indictment has some troubling things in it, and when the time is right, Republicans should raise it with the people. I mean, I understand that, I guess, but look, if you're Ron DeSantis and you have defended Donald Trump on all this stuff for 6 months, can you then in December, as you're bopping around Iowa, then say, oh, I've changed my mind, Trump is guilty as sin, we can't let him have the nomination because he's bad? Like, I don't...
Well, no. And works. This is why when I read the indictment, one thing I thought to myself was, God, I really wonder if Ron DeSantis wishes he had waited like 5 hours to tweet out his preemptive support for the president, because well, I don't think he probably doesn't because he has calculated that he needs the support of, he cannot look like a traitor to Donald Trump to win that base of, I guess it's a calculation. I think it's probably wrong. I think you have to attack him and say, look, Donald Trump in his entire presidency talked about the importance of the sanctity of official documents. He does not live up to his own standards. And like, I don't know, man, voters don't care about hypocrisy anymore. I guess we crossed that Rubicon back in 2016. But I still think you have to hit him on this. If you don't hit him on this, if you just say, yes, Donald Trump is great and we obviously all support him, but also I would be a good president, it's not a winning message.
Can I prove to you why he doesn't wish?
That's loser shit.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to prove to you, Sonny, why he doesn't wish that he waited 5 hours. I don't know if you saw this. DeSantis leaked to Phil Wegman, good reporter at the Real Clear Politics, his response to Trump yesterday, actually, after the indictment came out. And it was, he's put together looks like a 6-point plan to fight the weaponized DOJ. Going to move the DOJ out of D.C., we're just going to get a country lawyer to take over. Maybe put that in Wichita. He's going to fire a bunch of the DOJ employees. He's going to put the, quote, kibosh on policing misinformation. He's going to reorganize the Civil Rights Division. Wink, wink. He's going to withhold clearances as appropriate, and he's going to police local prosecutors. So that's a 6-point plan. Just brief aside, as somebody who worked for the guy that put out the best plans in 2016, we had, if you're getting the AEI vote for somebody who had the most 8-point plans to solve all the things, Jeb Bush and Elizabeth Warren would have been your nominees last time. People love 8-point plans. But 8-point plan is not sure it's going to resonate. But that tells you everything about where DeSantis thinks he can go, right? It's like, I'm not going to wholeheartedly defend Trump, right? I'm not going to full-throatedly be like, do the Vivek thing where I'm standing outside the courthouse being like, my master is being attacked, like, and he's not going to do that. But he is going to, basically try to weave through this by being like, Trump, this is unfair, and I'm going to go after the DOJ. And this is the problem with that. Like, I think it's worth briefly mentioning that there have been a couple of green shoots over the past few days. Like Ken Buck said the right thing, Don Bacon said the right thing, Pence and Haley and Scott kind of said the right thing. Asa, you wrote about in the Triad today, JVL. Asa obviously is great on this. So there have been some people, Britt Hume even kind of sounded okay on Brett Baer. So there's some people saying the right thing, which is different from Bragg. So that's a step in the right direction. But the big names are not. And so, like, I just, like, that's just like a little drop. Ken Buck is just like a little drop in the lake when you've got DeSantis defending him, Vivek, sort of like ringing the bell outside the courthouse. You've got Fox primetime. Did you see
Fox? So
yeah,
this is what I wanted to bring to you, because it's not just the rival candidates. Yesterday, Fox ran a split screen with Biden and Trump. And this is the actual chyron on the bottom of the screen. Wannabe Dictator speaks at the White House after having his political rival arrested. The extent to which this is...
That was the 8 p.m. hour on Fox.
The 8 p.m. This is like the apex of projection, right? I mean, so Donald Trump, one of his signature things was introducing to the idea into American politics that rivals ought to be arrested. This was the leading chance of lock her up and all of that. Donald Trump attempted a coup. A literal coup.
You mentioned that.
That is what wannabe dictators do. Joe Biden, on the other hand, so far as we can tell, we have seen zero evidence that he has put any pressure on the Attorney General. And the Attorney General, to his enormous credit, the minute Trump declared for his candidacy, the Attorney General took his hands off of this and handed the entire ball of wax over to a special counsel. The Biden administration has behaved, unless there is something going on that has not been exposed, exactly as they are supposed to have throughout this. And Fox, instead of...
just really quick, they haven't even given the whiff of this. Like, remember the Bill Clinton and what's-her-name airport tarmac thing? I'm having a senior moment. He was on the airport... he was on the... during the Clinton campaign, there's a tarmac meeting where Clinton...
with his... there was a... Yes, I remember all this. I'm blanking the Attorney General.
The conservative media goes nuts about this. And maybe it was inappropriate, maybe it was wrong.
Loretta Sanchez?
No. Loretta... Lynch. God, we're getting old.
Oh, man.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Anyway, they meet on the tarmac, and I don't know. We still don't know exactly what they discussed, but we're in the middle of these investigations, right? And so it just looked bad. But there hasn't even been one of those things. Like the conservative media is champing at the bit for anything, any little, like one email, one little piece of evidence that shows that Biden is trying to put his finger on the scale here, and they have nothing. They have nothing, and yet still we have, the chyron that calls him a wannabe dictator.
Sonny, should Fox News be credentialed by the White House Correspondents Association? Is that something that a news organization would do?
I have no idea how to answer that question, because I don't. Yes, I think they probably should, because look. Here's
I agree
the
with that. Just to let Sonny off the hook.
What's that?
I agree with that. just to let you off the hook.
I don't really understand the question there. Yes, I think they should, but despite having deranged chyrons in the opinion versus the news hour, we got to remember we got to distinguish
news hours
opinion.
Left. It's kind of like at the edges. The opinion used to be the morning and in the late night, and now it's like slowly but surely there's like one news hour left in the middle of the day.
No, but this again, this gets to something we're going to discuss in a minute here, which is that there's no advertising campaign that the Trump rivals can do. There's no messaging that the anti-Trump groups can put together that is going to do more damage to Donald Trump than Fox News can help Donald Trump with simple stuff like this. I mean, like
Right.
as long as the semi-official party organ mouthpiece is saying that Donald Trump is an oppressed victim of an evil state, that he doesn't deserve any of this, that his political enemies are out to get him, that we have to fight and resist this. I don't know what you're supposed to. I don't know how you counteract that.
Sonny, what do you say to people who believe that because they read Fox, they watch Fox News?
I don't talk to those people.
Oh, okay.
What's the point? I genuinely do not.
I'm trying to rope you into the Sarah triangle of doom here, to see if you're on my side of it or on her side of it. That's all. I'm just using you as a pawn in my...
I'm going to triangulate and say I'm in the middle of both of you guys. I do not think that there is any way to counteract that specific thing. Now, look, I think Fox News could do the right thing and convince them that this is bad and that the only way to win the presidency is to go with Ron DeSantis. If Fox wanted to do that, that would be great. But I don't think any of the outside money coming in and trying to make that case while Fox News is like on their other shoulder saying, actually, oppression. This is political
going
oppression.
after your man. Yeah, I want to add one more point there before we get to the ads. Is that this is kind of one of those we've never tried it things. Like people tell us like, oh, it might work, it might not. But like, if there was one instance, and what would have been a better instance than this? I guess January 6th, because there was a coup, as JVL's mentioned a couple times. Where the facts are cut and dry, where across the board it was a unified front, where all of the media, folks from Ben Shapiro to Fox, I don't, maybe it's too much to expect from Newsmax, but like from the big feet, and to Ron DeSantis, we're all out there saying, guys, he botched this. He's making it easy on them. Like, he is the idiot. Like if we want to beat these deep state fuckers, we gotta be smart and be diligent. And this guy is a clown, and he did this to himself. If everyone said that, could the weight of that get his number back down to 35 or to his base of 40? I don't know. The thing is, we'll never know, right?
Well,
we'll never know
tell you
because
why,
this
though.
never happens.
Let me tell you why. Because it'll hurt them more than it would hurt him.
Exactly.
Right. This is
JVL,
right. He can take more pain than they can, and they're already losing viewers because of the Tucker thing, right? And that.
What is it, JVL? What is it that you always say, that politicians can only be as good as their voters?
Yeah.
News outlets can only be as good as their viewers will let them be. And there's no money.
Luckily,
in it
our listeners let us be great. Just let us be fucking exceptional, Jokic level.
That's true.
So let's go to the ads. So Tim, you got a piece up on Wednesday today about the new ad from the Koch network. Sebastian, can we have that?
Trump did a lot of good things as president, but this time, Trump can't win. Swing voters say no. 60% of Americans don't want him. In 2024, Biden will beat Trump. We need new leadership.
Boy, hard hitting. Really go after him. He did great things, and this time he can't win, which I suppose kind of means that he did win the last time, and he did win the time before that. But now it's all different. And trust us, because we've got this music in the background, which we pulled off a SoundCloud.
And this poll of women, independent women, don't like him. That's a new piece of information that the MAGA voters don't know. They've been deeply considering the thoughts of independent women for the past 8 years and what they're interested in. This ad is so fucking bad, and I had to write this piece because I'm hoping.
I love it when you get offended as a professional at bad creative.
Number one, I'm offended as a professional. As a retired professional political operative. That's number one. Number two, I hate to be made to give advice to try to help the cuckolded Republican establishment that's trying to get rid of Trump because all of them have acted so cowardly. But here I am trying to help them, despite what Andrew Sullivan says about us. I really want Donald Trump to be beaten, and I would love to give them some tips. And I'm hoping that my old friends who secretly read the Bulwark will maybe send the article to Charles Koch. I don't know if he's still, reading. He's getting up there, but Charles Koch's people, and like maybe we can shake them loose, because they have $60 billion. They leaked to CNBC that they're planning on going to. He has $60 billion in wealth, not that he's going to spend on this election. They leaked to CNBC that they are going to war with Trump. I don't know if that felt like war to you, and they're doing like active harm. Like that ad, like the best case, the best case for that ad is that no MAGA voters see it. That's the best case, because anybody who is potentially swingable would be turned off by that ad. It's like the indictment. It's like a tiny 15-second version of the indictment. It's like I know who this is. I don't know if it's Karl Rove that did it, but it smells like him. And it's these DC elites that are trying to come after my man again, and they're putting this pre-roll into my Facebook feed or into my YouTube feed, and I'm about to watch Steven Crowder, talk about how he hates women. I'm about to watch some YouTube feed where free media, right, where people are going to be defending Donald Trump, and before I watch it, I'm going to be made to watch this 15-second pre-roll from some limp DC, establishment cuck trying to tell me that my man can't win.
They'll assume it's from DeSantis, too.
And they'll assume it, right. They'll assume it's from DeSantis. It hurts. It doesn't even. There is a group of people that is persuadable by that. And that is the base, the Ron DeSantis, or whoever ends up, if Ron DeSantis gets displaced, whoever that is, the number 2 challenger, whoever that ends up being, their base will be the people that agree with that ad already. So you don't need to run it. You don't need to pay. That will be part of the free media. That will be part of the discussion, on the Wall Street Journal editorial page, and, on Brett Baer's show, that argument will be made already. And this is not, people misunderstand, political ads in presidential campaigns are completely different from other campaigns. Everyone knows everything about Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. This is completely consuming them. They even talk about it on Barstool, like on sports radio. They talk about it in their Facebook feeds, in their lives. They are saturated with information, right? So you can run an ad like that in a primary against a House candidate, where you're like, Joey Smalls, can't defeat the liberal Democrat that's representing you, because he did these stupid things, and you should vote for Jimmy Large instead, right? Like you could, and that could maybe help. Again, that's
you're
such
analyzing
a
New Jersey race,
right? We're doing a New Jersey race.
A gabaloo.
Yeah, like that could help. But you cannot run a cookie cutter ad like that against Donald Trump. It's a waste of money. This is just a cash transfer from Charles Koch to whatever political consultant is building a beach house in Bethany. Like that's all that ad is, and it's infuriating. And the last point I'm gonna make on this is, like, there are 2 groups of people that are potentially gettable. Okay, if we acknowledge that 35% base, they're the very conservative Ted Cruz voter types who came along with Trump reluctantly a little bit and then really started to like him, but is he getting wishy-washy on abortion? Did he build the wall? Right? So you can come at him from the right. That's not enough to win. Okay, you got to win some from both of these groups. But you could do an ad targeting them. That the Kochs don't want to do that. They don't want to be like, they're open borders guys. They don't want to run ads that are like, Donald Trump didn't put an alligator moat in front of the wall like he promised. That might work. Okay. Or
I'm here live at the Rio Grande, and there are no alligators with freaking lasers on their heads anywhere.
Watch these Guatemalans easily coming through Donald Trump's weak fence. I'm taking video of them live. Okay, that could work. Or going after the softer MAGA types who are the culture wars, who are like, Ron DeSantis, whoever my man is, was much more effective than Donald Trump at sending immigrants from Texas to Martha's Vineyard to own, the libs, right? Like things like that, right? Like those are the people that are gettable in this primary. The people that care about electability, that read the National Review, that voted for Marco, like some of them might go along with Trump anyway in the end, but that's what your starting point. So if you're going to spend $1 billion to try to stop Trump, don't worry about those people, because if those people aren't with us, then the race is already lost. Okay, like that's the bottom, that's the entry level ante of trying to beat Donald Trump in a primary. You got to go expand the pie, and you're a super PAC, so you don't have to worry about this boomeranging back on your candidate. So just take the fucking gloves off and go try to rip off his face, or help Joe Biden if you really don't like Donald Trump. Like, those are the options, or do
Sonny,
nothing.
Does it
Just count your
matter at
money.
all that the premise of the ad is simply untrue as a factual matter? Like,
Well,
when the ad says Donald Trump can't win, that is simply not true.
That's the thing that actually drives me craziest about this ad. In addition to it just being totally like, it's not accurate. It's not accurate, and we know it's not accurate because he did win in 2016.
And came very close in 2020. And everybody
in
understands
2020
how the Electoral College works at this point, right?
And
the Republican is going to have a 2 in 5 chance of winning the presidency no matter who he is.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. If you win the nomination, you have probably a 40% chance of winning the presidency, at least. I mean, there are macro trends that matter much more than the candidate, but the candidate himself also matters. Like, that's what drives me the craziest about this ad, is because it's just wrong. As a factual matter, it is just wrong. He is very electable, as he could easily win the presidency. I don't think it's necessarily likely. I wouldn't bet on it unless I was getting very good odds. But I mean, it's
possible.
He absolutely could win the presidency.
They should attack him with something that's true. Shouldn't
and
they?
the voters know that. The voters know
this
that.
is the key point. And who
Yeah,
knows it
this
the
is the
most?
key point.
The MAGA voters. Do you know why? Because assholes like me spent all of 2016 running ads like that, telling them Donald Trump couldn't win, and then Donald Trump won anyway, and they all rubbed it in our face on Facebook. They know this already. So it's like, we did this already. That's the other most offensive part about this. Not only do the voters know, but we tried the ads, they didn't work. Why are you running them again?
This was the number one case against Donald Trump in 2016, before January 6th, before all the stuff that happened during the presidency, like even before grab him by the pussy, right? Like all of this stuff, before all of this stuff, for months and months and months, we said he cannot win against Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
He cannot beat Hillary, and she's a terrible candidate. We could run literally anyone else and they would win, but he's even worse. Look at the popularity numbers. Look at the approval ratings. He's so bad. He can't possibly win the presidency. And he won the fucking presidency. And like, whatever, maybe it's different this time because Joe Biden is a better candidate than Hillary. I don't know. But like, it's just not true.
The voters don't think so.
No.
The voters think Joe Biden is riddled with dementia.
Well, here's the thing.
Well,
here's the thing. I mean,
The
we
MAGA
have
voters.
the primary voters.
undergone a change in our mental framework for presidential elections, where I just said presidential elections. That's awesome. Leave that in, Sebastian. We've undergone a change in how we think about these things, because prior to 2016, everybody believed that you basically had to win a plurality to win the presidency, and that it was possible to sneak one through the wickets in a 1 in a million shot where like Al Gore, you win by 1 million votes, but you don't quite get there. You're on a razor's edge with the Electoral College. But that's not. And now the Republican Party has simply accepted that they cannot win a national majority, and so they will not try. That is not a thing the Republican Party is interested in even trying. Their entire mental framework for how to capture the presidency now relies purely on gaming the Electoral College in a way that this simply did not exist in American politics prior to 2016. And I think Republican voters know that, right? They've adjusted their mental framework. They don't think they need 50% plus one. They're like, yeah, we could do this shit with 46%. We just got to pack it in like 4 different states, and then we can make it happen. And
right,
that
so
is why you wind up with we had a poll from CBS this week on electability asking Republican voters which candidate they think was the most electable of the 9 candidates in the field. Donald Trump, by a wide margin. 62% of Republican voters said that Trump would definitely beat Biden. DeSantis came in at 50% on that.
What was the percent? 60 what?
62. 62%.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Right. So
not
again,
that
back to
Trump
the
will have
ad,
a good chance.
even if you got everybody else convinced by that ad, you're at 38. So that's the ceiling for that ad. Okay, anyway.
I would say that 12% of Republican voters thought that Vivek would definitely beat Biden, and I thought that was the most amazing number in the poll because it shows where these people's heads are at.
Well, that just goes to show you that if you ask any question in any poll, some percentage will answer yes or no to the obvious yes or no question.
Well, no, I think part of this is that they really do believe that Biden is a drooling vegetable. I think that they simply haven't. Nobody saw the State of the Union address, I guess, or nobody listened to his, like, they're not paying attention to the inflation numbers, or they've just decided that the entire country hates Biden and everybody thinks just like them, so anybody's going to win, I think.
Well, my exit question on this for Tim is all right, so let's just say at the start, Coke Network's not going to go to the mattresses for Joe Biden and run a bunch of ads for Joe Biden in the general. All right, so this is a primary thing.
Fair.
What do the actual ads that they can run look like? I mean, we mentioned the alligators in front of the wall. I mean, could they put together a package that's like, hey, who loves Bud Light is Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. They said lay off Anheuser-Busch, but we don't believe you should lay off. I mean, like, what is the actual line of attack here on Donald Trump? I literally spent an hour thinking about this morning before this, and I cannot imagine a line of attack that actually works in an advertising campaign that they would be willing to do.
It's possible there isn't one, but I would like for them to at least try things that could work rather than things that have been obviously debunked. The thing that jumps to mind for me, and you'd want to do a lot of market research on this. I really should call. I have a friend who is doing this research, so maybe next week I can have a report back on what they have to say. But the thing that jumps to mind for me is, so when we were doing RVAT, like, the number one thing that Sarah, and, because I came a little bit later when she was doing the market research ahead of RVAT starting, the number one thing that she learned from talking to the voters and from polling was that they recoil at being told what to do by Republican elites. They do not like them. They do not care. Endorsements from Paul, this seems a little obvious now, but like less obvious then. Like, getting prominent Republicans to say, I will not support Donald Trump, actually maybe hurt more than helped, right? Like that, the research just showed they do not want to be lectured to by the DC class. And that's how we ended up with the RVAT strategy, right? Of Republican voters, real people, explaining, to their peers why they were going to, not vote for Trump. So to me, I would try to go with like a much more aggro version of that, and like there are plenty of people, like, go to the border, find people in Texas and Arizona who are MAGA, who are like, Donald Trump said that he was going to fix this. It's worse than ever. You know what I mean? Like, have a video of where the wall got stopped. And be like, and have a fucking dude in a MAGA hat being like, I was promised this. He didn't do it. Like, DeSantis is doing shit. Whoever else, Brian, whoever the person is, right? Like that, like, I would want to see the testing, but like trying to have actual, now this takes work, right? You don't just write a check to a consultant in DC who puts together something on iMovie, puts a little music behind it and then gets to take a 10% cut, right? You got to actually do the work of finding the people, going there, doing the videos, culture war stuff. That is where I would go. I mean, I think that the Fauci thing is maybe workable. The failures, again, this stuff, but who the messenger is, it's possible this isn't workable, and you have to do completely off the radar stuff.
I voted for Donald Trump, and then Fauci shut down my restaurant.
Right. May I explain the deep reason why none of these things can work?
Sure. I'm open to the fact, by the way, that wouldn't work, but at least it'd be trying, which is my point. At least it isn't a waste of the money.
I don't believe any of these things can work. And the reason is because the Cokes are why the Republican voters chose Trump in 2016. Right. Because they don't like the Cokes' view of the world. They don't like the Chamber of Commerce Republican Party. They don't like compassionate conservatism. The Cokes literally, as you said, Tim, want open borders because the Cokes are big capitalists who want to, like, make the labor pool as large as possible and drive down wages and, good for businesses and all that. And the Republican voters fucking hate those people. And that's why they went out and got Trump. And so those people are not going to be able to convince the Trump voters to dump Trump for their guy again. Like that. That's I just think it's.
And by the way, this speaks to one other point. We're going long. Already good show, long show. We got more material, but just one other point on this, because it's a related topic. there was an article this week. I forget. I apologize to the journalists because I forget who wrote it. But it was about how Democrats are scared of the other candidates besides Trump. And it like quoted all these anonymous Democratic strategists being like, boy, Nikki, like this was exposed to me because Nikki Haley's campaign manager, who I followed, tweeted like, Democrat strategist freaked out by Nikki Haley, running scared about Nikki. And I'm just like, whoever that strategist is just as stupid as the Republican strategist running the Coke ad. Because not only is the Coke ad wrong, I'm fundamentally unconvinced that Nikki Haley would have a better chance, because that crowd, though I don't think Trump wouldn't be allowed to run third party, but there's from that 35% cult base, a certain percentage of those people are not going to vote for Nikki Haley. They just will not. And they are overrepresented in the states that you need to game on the electoral college.
Yeah.
Right. And so, she gets back some of that on the Atlanta burbs and stuff. So I don't think it's a cut and dry case. But to act like, oh, I'm running scare, that is scarier, especially with the unknown of Donald Trump being out there potentially shit talking them. Right? I don't think there's any reason to think that any of the other candidates besides Trump are clearly more electable than him. It's false in that sense as well.
Well, this is one of the like key facts about 2016 that I don't know that I don't know that a lot of people have necessarily internalized, which is that Donald Trump wound up being a much better candidate than we all expected because he activated a different type of voter, right? Like and I think Tim's 100% right that I think that voter who turned out for Donald Trump does not turn out for Nikki Haley, does not necessarily turn out for anybody else except for maybe Ron DeSantis. I think DeSantis is kind of tapped into that, but I don't know.
Yeah, TBD.
Yeah. All right. So we had other stuff, but we're going to table it because it's been a very long show. But we have to give Tim a moment to celebrate because the Denver Nuggets are the champions of the world. I hope you're not buying that horrible T-shirt that they put out.
I'm not buying the T-shirt. I don't. But people, before you turn off, I'm about to give you some life lessons. All right. During the JVL triad, sports is about life. I'm about to go there for you. Number one, I'm just so happy. I'm so happy about the Nuggets. It is my long-suffering fandom, and I was digging through old pictures of me and my brother going to camps, to try to get autographs from long-lost Nuggets you guys have never heard of, like Antonio McDyess, and like finding all of our old useless, cards.
Abdul-Rauf?
Oh yeah. I wore the Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf jersey.
Yeah, you did?
I wore that jersey.
Is that a good cut? You like that?
It was a good cut. People liked it. I wore that to the finals game. And so it felt really good. I went to game one with my brother. It was emotional walking in there. The first NBA finals game ever in Denver. They handled the Heat easily in 5 games. And so it was very enjoyable. It was an enjoyable Monday night. I've watched all the content. I've consumed an unbelievable amount of content about the Nuggets over the past 48 hours. But what I wanted to share with people is just two little anecdotes. They'll just warm your heart. The first one is about the best NBA player in the world, Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic was a fat kid from Serbia who was drafted in the second round, I think the 41st pick in the second round during a Taco Bell quesarito commercial. They didn't even show the pick. He came over. He was overweight. People didn't understand it. He was a bench player, but he just had this magical touch, this beautiful ability to pass and to shoot around the rim. And he was a water polo player, so to tip rebounds to himself, unlike anybody else. He comes forth to become the best player in the league. He is just degraded and insulted. Everyone on ESPN for like a year is just like, he's going to get exposed in the playoffs. He can't play defense. He's not athletic traditionally. Anyway, here's what he said at the press conference after. This is something about dealing with success well. This is dealing with success well. He said, if you want to be successful, you need the bad. Then you need to be good. Then when you're good, you need to fail. Then when you fail, you're going to figure it out. I mean, after winning the NBA Finals, just the clarity, the Yogi Berra Serbian simplicity of that. A person who said that he was kind of a little disappointed he had to stay till Thursday for the parade because he wants to get back to Serbia with his family. He keeps his wife's wedding ring on his shoes. He also said that he doesn't that there are other important things in his life besides basketball. That he's happy, but there's other important things. I mean, this is just, you can learn so much from him. Not everyone's going to have his just wonderful historic skill.
Did you watch him walking around the court seeking out everybody from the Miami bench, every last assistant coach after the end of the
before he celebrated,
finals?
shook everybody's hand, and he brings his 1-year-old child out. I mean, this is just a beautiful human being. It's what everyone says they want from sportsmanship, and then it's like, oh well, we can't make him a superstar because he doesn't have the star quality that
he doesn't have the chiseled abs.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Let me ask you a question about him. Is he the second coming of Larry Bird? Because his passing and court sense feel Bird-like. He's got a bunch of other stuff that Bird didn't have, including size and a handle and stuff like that. But his sense of the court and his sense of the game are
I mean, he's like kind of
way.
all the 80s players in one, which is why I don't understand why the old guys don't like him. Like, he's got a bit of magic. Like, he goes the full length of the court like Magic, is throwing the oops like the old Lake Show Lakers. He has the Bird's touch. His stat lines are very similar to Bird's in a lot of ways besides the rebounding. And he's also got big old Moses Malone kind of rebounding, like peak Moses. Like, he's all three of those guys in one. It's been a beautiful thing to watch. I have one more piece of...
First player to ever lead the playoffs in
points,
scoring, assists, and rebounds.
All of them. It's really lovely. I just want to mention one other guy, Aaron Gordon. You might not have heard of him. Aaron Gordon, I was watching his post-game content. He was drafted fourth. He's the opposite of Jokic. He's beautiful. You know, you could put him on a billboard in Times Square shirtless, you know, and the gays and the women would be kind of like fanning themselves. He was like the top of his class always, you know, and he was drafted in the top 5. And he goes to Orlando. The team's terrible. He's the best player on a terrible team because he looks like a pretty boy and because he wins the slam dunk contest and because he was kind of a ball hog on a terrible team. He gets all the stereotypical like, oh, he's selfish. He's one of these guys. He's never going to win. He's not a winner. He gets traded to the Nuggets where he's the 4th option, not the 2nd, not the 3rd. He's the 4th option on the team. And he accepts a role where he defends the best player. He defended LeBron, Kevin Durant, and Jimmy Butler in back-to-back rounds.
Wow.
And he shut them all down. All he does on offense is set picks for Jokic and just take lobs and do dunks. Like, he doesn't have to do anything else, really, on offense. He's just the best defensive guy on the team. He plays into his role. After the game, this guy who was, like, called the prima donna, just can't help himself. He starts crying, like, on live TV, like, talking about how he's always wanted to be in a role like this. He's always wanted to be part of a team, be a winner. Like, he always wanted to be with other guys and not have... to have just the glory for himself. He was like the 8th person interviewed. He didn't get interviewed on stage, and yet he still was so happy after the game. I've put this on my Twitter if you want to go see us. He is shirtless, dancing on the streets of Denver with all of the nerdy white guys in their microbrews, like in the middle of them, just like jumping up in the air, walking home from the stadium to his loft. Pretty good stuff. It was pretty magical, and it was like all the good stuff about sports in one.
Fantastic. Sonny, thank you for being here in Sarah's place so that Tim could do that without her falling asleep. That was very nice. Very kind of
grateful.
You. Guys, good show. Long show. We'll see you next week.
Peace. Go Nuggets.